Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You're probably used to seeing me working on my truck over there, or the RV behind me, but today I'm shifting gears and talking about the family hauler, this Durango right here. You know, whether you drive a heavy duty truck or a daily driver or a family hauler like this one here, there is one accessory that honestly I believe is becoming almost mandatory for the majority of vehicles on the road today. And that accessory is a dash cam. But you know, me personally, I've never been a big fan of them. You've got the messy suction cup hanging off the windshield that's just ready to fall off, especially in the heat. Then you've got the cables and everything, you know, dangling, running down your dash and looking messy. And so I've never personally been a big user of dash cams. That is until I discovered the FITCAMX. Now, I've actually been a user of this product for over 2 years. That's how long I've had it on my GMC back there. But in today's video, I'm going to show you how easy it is to install on a family hauler like this Durango. Now guys, I could not find a video anywhere online showcasing how this product, the FITCAMX, integrates with this specific trim level that has the forward-facing collision warning system. And so we're going to see how all that fits together with the install. And then I'm going to talk about why I believe this invisible, seamless camera, why it's really in many ways the best insurance policy that you can buy. Now, before we get into the install, let me show you what you actually get. This is the 4K front-facing model, by the way, and it comes with a 64 gigabyte micro SD card right out of the box. And that is good for about 10 hours or so, in my experience, of footage before it's going to start overwriting and looping over itself. Now, one important note, if you have a Durango, especially one of the upper trim levels, the plastic housing behind your rear view mirror, it might be different depending on the sensors that you have. And so when you order from FITCAMX, do what I did and just take a quick picture of your current mirror setup, email it to them, send it to them, and they will confirm exactly which model housing you need so that it snaps in perfectly, because there are, depending on your model, 2, 3, maybe even 4 different variations. So don't guess, verify it instead. But let's get this installed. Now, if you've seen my other truck videos, you already know that this FITCAMX, it's plug and play. The Durango is no different. And basically, the first step was to pop off the original OEM plastic shroud that's behind the mirror. There's a center section that's directly behind the mirror. And the kit, by the way, it comes with a pry tool, so you don't even have to worry about marring the plastic. But basically, that center trim piece pries apart, start at the top on both sides and gently pry it apart, and it's just gonna release. And then that center trim piece, that bezel, is gonna pop out first. And then the rest of the housing is going to drop down. And so you can see I'm just gently pulling the rest of that housing down. It's got 2 clips toward the bottom middle section. And once that's pulled down, that's everything removed. There's no wires, in my case, attached to the shroud. It's just plastic bezel and casing around all the sensors up in there. Now, on my trim level, there were these 4 tiny little rubber or silicone bumpers that I had to remove off the original OEM housing and transfer to the new FITCAMX housing. And so that's what you're seeing there. You just gently tug each one out and then reinsert it into the new FITCAM housing. They're in the same exact locations, so no problem there. But then here's the magic. You don't have to run any wires to the fuse box. You don't have to look for a power source. I'm just unplugging the power cable that goes into the auto dimming mirror. So I'm not unplugging the sensors for the forward collision warning or any of that. I'm just dealing with the power for the rear view mirror. So I unplug that. Then I use the provided FITCAMX Y cable, which basically just interrupts your OEM wiring. So you're still sending the original power and all the wires to the rear view mirror, but then you're also using that same Y adapter to send power to the FITCAMX. And so it bridges that connection to borrow that power seamlessly. And then once I got all the wires reconnected, I arranged them neatly, and then I just pushed up the FITCAMX housing and got that clipped, snapped into place. And then I reused the center bezel piece from the original OEM housing and clipped that into place. And remember, it just has 2 little clips at the top. And literally, guys, that was it. I think it took maybe 10 to 15 minutes. It probably took me a little bit longer because, like I said, I couldn't find a video showcasing all this. So I was, taking my time. But I mean, look at the finished product there. It looks 100% factory, completely OEM. If you didn't know that was a dash cam, I think most people would just assume it's a standard part of the interior. And then as far as the setup goes, I just turned on the accessory power to the vehicle, and then I got the FITCAMX app, which you can get from the App Store, whether you're on Android or Apple. And basically, you just use the app to get it set up initially. And it's gonna connect through Wi-Fi, so it's gonna connect from your phone to the camera through Wi-Fi. So if you have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay and it's wireless, just disable that temporarily, and that way it's not going to be fighting, between your car and the camera. But basically, you just have to set it up initially, make sure the resolution is set to the full 4K. And then for me, I like having the audio on, and that way, you hear everything in the video recordings too. Maybe there's a turn signal or something else that it picks up that's helpful. And then of course you can preview and make sure that everything looks good before you disconnect from the app. And really for me, guys, personally, I just use the app to set everything up initially. That's the only time I'm interfacing with it. But once it's set up, my favorite part about this system, and this is why I put it in the Durango here, you forget that it exists. There's no on button. There's no battery to charge. I mean, every single time that I start the engine, the camera wakes up and it just starts recording. When I turn the car off, it saves the files and it shuts down. It is a true set it and forget it kind of system. You don't have to manage the storage. It uses loop recording, and so once the memory card, the SD card fills up, which again, for me, I found it's about 10 hours of driving. Once that fills up, it just starts automatically writing over the oldest footage. And so you never have to actually touch it or bother with it unless you actually need some of the video footage that it's recorded. And speaking about needing a video file off the FITCAMX, let's talk about why I think this is so important to have in your vehicle. A while back, I published a video called Plate Proof, where I showed that the 4K resolution that the FITCAMX records is actually more than sufficient to read license plates, even at speed. And just think about all the different scenarios where that would come in handy. First, consider the hit and run. I mean, heaven forbid this ever happens, but let's just say that someone sideswipes the Durango while I'm driving. I just pull over to the side of the road and pull out the memory card, and then I've got their license plate, the make and model of their vehicle, along with the timestamp, and it's all in 4K resolution. Or two, consider false accusations. Imagine being in a situation where someone accuses you of moving over into their lane or maybe running a red light. Well, this is essentially like your impartial witness. It creates a concrete digital record of what actually happened. Or how about third, the Good Samaritan situation? I think this is one that people often forget about. Imagine that you're driving and you witness an accident in front of you. So you're not actually involved in the accident, but you've got footage on your dash cam that can help prove for a fellow driver that they weren't at fault, that they're a victim perhaps. And so you can take that footage off the FITCAMX, hand it to an officer, or email it to the victim. And I just think that's a huge blessing, a huge service to other fellow drivers out there. And guys, I've had the FITCAMX on my GMC back here for over 2 years. So it's been through the heat of summers, through freezing temperatures in the winter, rough roads, you name it. And it has never failed to record. And so that's why I trust it, especially in a situation like this with a family vehicle. And guys, I'll just say this. It is an absolute blast to drive the Durango SRT with the 6.4 liter Hemi. But it's also a precious cargo hauler. And so it gives me great peace of mind knowing that I've always got eyes on the road without cluttering and messing up the nice aesthetics of the interior. And so I think this is worth every penny. Now, if you're interested in purchasing the FITCAMX for the Durango, or even if you've got a Ram truck, the install should be pretty similar, or perhaps you've got a Chevy or a GMC like I've got back there, I will include any available discount codes along with an affiliate link down below to save you some money, and that also helps support the channel. If you have any questions about the FITCAMX, I do read the comments, so drop them below and I'd be glad to answer them. As always, thanks for watching.